Good afternoon.
Ciao, Belly.
Hey, welcome in. Happy Friday, everybody. Danny and Dusty with you on this glorious Friday afternoon in the Rose City. No Danny Meringue.
Nope.
He is down in Las Vegas, Nevada, sitting on the surface of the sun, where it's a bajillion degrees outside, and he is down there to cover the Portland Trailblazers Summer League.
Yeah.
That gets underway tomorrow.
Tomorrow evening, yes.
Yeah. As of right now, because I always have Las Vegas on my weather apps, it's one of my cities, 108 degrees.
Oof.
And it's noon.
Yeah.
It's going to get up to 115 down there.
Yeah.
Don't think it's going to be the smooth sailing, easy ride for old Orangutan down in Sin City.
Wonder how close is he staying to the various facilities? I wonder.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because you've got both the Pavilion and the Thomas and Mack Center.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how far. I think those two joints are actually pretty close together.
To the YouTube people, we understand that you can only see half of my face right now.
Oh, I'll come take care of that.
We're gonna have to change that here. Rust is gonna be on his way over. We've only got half of my face. There you go. But we'll get to all of that. I want to start off with yesterday. We had no show. Rust held it down with a best of edition of Danny and Dusty because we were out at the Fan Golf Classic. 10th annual Fan Golf Classic, brought to you by Autotown GMC out at Langdon Farms. What a day, man. It was a long day, but I just want to thank all of our listeners that came out and played, and another special thank to all of the sponsors that made it all possible, because it was an awesome time. It was great. And we basically, the idea was all of our shows would be out at the course, and we would get to mingle with all of our listeners. And what ended up happening was we all got golf carts and we were going to be going around. We all ended up at the sixth hole, the Doers sixth hole. All three shows, Monday through Friday. So Dirt and Sprague, Danny and I, Isaac and Suk. And it was so much fun to see all the listeners come through and to hang out with them, because here's the thing. We, as shows, we never really get to see each other anymore. Yeah. Like, all of us, we all get along. The six of us all get along really well.
Yeah, like you guys see Isaac and Suk in passing between the shows.
Yeah.
But like Dirt and Sprague are always gone by the time you guys show up.
Yeah, it's about 2 to 3 minutes of just insults being lobbed back and forth on our way out. But we don't really see Dirt and Sprague unless, I come in early and they stay late. That crossover we just don't see. And Isaac and Suk, they never see Dirt and Sprague.
No.
And so it was just as fun for us to be out there flipping each other, crud, and then flipping all the golfers, because we were at that's par 3 6 hole. And Doers was out there, so everybody was excited to get to the Doers.
Yeah, where the Doers flows like wine.
Oh, my gosh. It's like the salmon of Capistrano. It was a blast to be out there. And the morning round had 2 holes in one.
2?
2 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, we were there, the very first ever hole-in-one in Fan Golf Classic history came on the 10th year, and it was on that par 3 6th hole, not a par 6. That would be a hell of a thing. Even though I did see, actually, the night before the Fan Golf Classic, I saw that in Japan, they have a 943-yard par 7 hole at this Japanese golf course. And it put my brain in a pretzel. I was like, how would I do? What would you do there? How do you play this hole? Do you go driver, driver, driver? Do you go driver, then 3-wood, 3-wood, 3-wood? Like, what do you do? Do you just go 3-wood, 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 3-wood?
Are you going driver just off the grass?
Yeah, off the deck there. I don't know. You have to have a particular set of skills to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But that
just
put
like Liam Neeson.
That put my brain in a pretzel on how you even play that hole. And imagine like going off the tee on a 943-yard hole, and they had like a bunker, like right in drivable range. You're like, this is how I start this hole? That'd be hell. It'd be hell. I digress. The first ever hole-in-one in Fan Golf Classic history came on the par 3 6th hole that all 3 shows were at. And that's what made it so fun, is that Dude stepped up, and he's like, I don't know how this is going to go. Swing, goes up, plops it down, one hops it right in. Boom. Buckets. Everybody just went crazy. He took off running, which is probably what I would do.
Oh, yeah.
When you see that thing bounce and then bloop, bottom of the cup, he just takes off running in the opposite direction of everybody, but his whole group is sitting there. We're all just going ape, you know what?
Yeah.
Just going crazy. And we all got to celebrate it. Rob put out a interview with him. Rob, newsman on the streets, interviewed him directly after the hole-in-one was hit and sunk it. It was electric. And then we're going, and as the round is going on, all of a sudden we hear, hey, there was another one.
Whoa.
Another guy hit all. We had 2 holes-in-one in the opening round
Crazy.
of the Fan Golf Classic yesterday, and we'd gone 10 years of 0 hole-in-ones. And we got 2 of them in the opening round yesterday.
Bananas.
It was awesome. And the second one was a 175-yard par 3.
Mm-hmm.
And it rolled right up and in. And my favorite part about it is that it was their last hole of the entire tournament.
Uh-huh.
And it was the 17th hole at Langdon, if you're familiar. And the guy who hit it, Suk, was absolutely merciless with his heckling when they came through the 6th hole earlier.
Uh-huh.
He was just laying into this guy because he had like an old pair of like FootJoy. They were the saddle shoes, right? So they were white and brown.
Gotcha.
And Suk was just laying in. Oh, this guy's not a golfer. You could tell he doesn't golf because he look at those shoes. How old did you get those from your grandpa? Just laying into him. Just for 10 minutes straight while this guy was on the tee box.
Yeah.
At 6. And he hit a hole-in-one on 17.
That's fantastic.
And had the right to give Suk the DX crotch chop.
Yeah.
Suck it.
Suck it.
It was a blast out there. And it was so good to see everybody that came through. I was able to give a couple of shots. More than a couple. I gave a handful of shots to help some groups out.
Yep.
And that was my little piece of service. Danny went 3 for 20.
Yeah.
Getting on the green there. He got the 3 for 20, but it's like, hey, we're trending towards the Mendoza line. You're getting to the Mendoza line there.
Only batting 150 there.
Now, there were some good shots. There were some absolutely horrific shots. It was a day to behold, and I thank everybody for coming out because it was so much damn fun. And you ended up coming out.
I did. I made it out there 4:30, 4:40 or so. Yeah, it took me an hour to get there from the station here. Traffic was bananas.
Dude, I heard.
Yeah.
I heard we had a Vancouver, especially in the morning, it was kind of a mess. I guess at Highway 14 and I-5 right before the bridge there.
Gotcha.
You had like some sort of chemical truck and a cement mixer both go bloop.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that just backed everything up yesterday.
That'll snarl it up.
And traffic from there. It's like the butterfly effect, right?
Yes.
You kill a butterfly and all of a sudden the whole world changes. That's our traffic patterns. It's like at 6 o'clock in the morning, one accident happens in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And
screws up the entire Portland metropolitan area.
All of it. All of it.
All of it.
Just absolute mayhem. But if you made it down to Langdon Farms, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. It was good to see everybody out there. And it really was like one of those moments where we all feel like we play on the Indiana Fever.
Okay.
You got Caitlin Clark,
which
was the Isaac and Suk, and then we're the Fever. Like we're contributors there, We
Oh man.
It was you could tell the guys who've been on the air hosting their show together for damn near 20 years in Afternoon Drive and Isaac and Suk. And then, we get some buckets. We'll dish the ball. We get some rebounds. She's not doing it on her own there, the Indiana Fever. But it was we all were like, all right, yeah. We're Caitlin here.
Yeah. Hey, every team needs role players.
Yeah. Caitlin needs a Leah Boston. You need a little bit of that help there.
Absolutely.
It was a blast though, and thank you to everybody that came out. And I'm happy to report that maybe, just maybe, we cut down on the sandbag in this year's tournament.
Oh yeah,
just a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
everybody
Nets,
was playing truer to their handicaps at least.
Yeah, I still think we had a few, but at the same time, I was able to see, especially in the afternoon round, our man Clark and his group, they ended up winning it. But I will say, I watched them on 2 different holes, and it's not like they had like a 4 handicap playing as a 20 in that group. In that group, they had some shots where you're like, "Ooh," and then they would recover, and play well. I saw them on I think three holes. I ended up watching them on. It was legit.
Yeah,
it was legit in the afternoon round. Morning round, I'm not quite sure on, but I feel like we've shamed the sandbaggers to keep it between the buoys here.
Now, so for somewhat of a rookie here, a novice. So these tournaments like this, you're playing basically best ball though, right? Or are you not?
You take the best tee shot and then you put your own ball in from there.
Okay.
Yep.
So then when it comes to the group scores, is it a cumulative score? Like, is that how we're getting the winning group at 47 under?
You take the best score out of your group from there.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I mean, yeah. So how do we get to 47 under for a group?
They will adjust. There's gross, which is your total score, and the net, which accounts for the handicap.
Okay.
And then, so like if you're a 20, then you get pops on every hole where it's like a 5 is a 4 or a 4 is a 3.
Gotcha.
Right? And it'll knock it down a peg a little bit more and a little bit more. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a birdie is an eagle.
Right.
And so that's how you can get down. I think it might have been the top 2 scores.
Gotcha.
From your group.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right. That makes more sense.
Oh man. Okay. Well, we got a lot of show that we got to get to. Special thanks to everybody that came out for the Fan Golf Classic. It was awesome, and boy, we had some all-stars. We had some all-stars. We had somebody with a KP who I was told at one point fell out of the cart. At one point fell into a drainage ditch. And then got KP. He rallied. And it was, I was sitting there and I was like, how does that? Okay. I'm not like, the coordination was not, it was not equal, but he got it. He got it. Hot damn. Okay. Let's get this show on the road. We got a ton that we got to get to today. Blazers will start their summer league down in Vegas tomorrow against San Antonio Spurs. We've got some news in college football conference realignment. I got some baseball stuff that I want to get to, and I have a little bit of soccer. We had big soccer news that happened, and I'm not talking about Greg Berhalter getting fired yesterday.
Well, I thought the U.S. team was the only thing that mattered. Am I wrong there? Of course I'm wrong.
Have you seen have you seen American soccer?
Yeah, it's not great right now, Bob.
Rest of the world.
Yeah.
Rest of the world, it matters.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
Miles ahead.
That'd be very generous of you.
Yes.
To say only miles ahead.
Yeah. Well, I would say kilometers, but that's less.
Ooh, good point. Kilometers. It still blows my mind. I never been able to wrap my head around kilometers to miles. I mean, I understand 1,600 meters is, which is 1.6 kilometers is 1 mile.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Sounds good.
But I don't do that math. I'm American, damn it.
I know that basically a meter is about 39 inches. That's
okay.
Yeah.
And we got one hell of a worst day on the web today.
It's a doozy.
Yeah.
And I think everybody has, if not gone through this themselves, they've at least got a buddy that's gone through it. They've at least been adjacent to the situation.
I'm going to tell you right now, in 2024, we don't have many heroes running around. I think this is a hero move.
Mm-hmm.
This what happened is heroic.
Yeah.
And yet there is a facet of the web that is dragging this man.
Oh, really?
And I will say nay.
Uh-uh.
The worst day needs to be on the other side of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, but where we got to start, we have a new favorite for the Heisman Trophy. And it's a doozy. Did not see this one coming. We'll explain how Dylan Gabriel is atop the Heisman Trophy odds next. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. All right. It was released today, updated Heisman Trophy betting odds. And University of Oregon quarterback Dillon Gabriel is now the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy at plus 750 odds, according to ESPN Bet and the MGM Grand in the Superbook in Las Vegas as well. A little bit of a surprise as he was as low in beginning of July. He was at 10-1, and he's been as long as a 14-1 long shot to win the Heisman Trophy. But now he's vaulted up to plus 750 in the Heisman Trophy betting odds.
Okay, so for some of us betting novices, in the terms of, so he's now plus 750. How does that translate to a 10-1?
Okay, that would be, I think it's 7-1.
Okay, so 10-1 would be what, like 1,000 plus 1,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so.
Gotcha.
It's a, 15-2 is the fractional odds there. 15-2.
Okay, yeah, so that's 7.5 to 1.
Yeah, 7. Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
There you go.
Perfect.
He has, and this is quite the jump. And what they're saying is, ESPN wrote an article about it, and they're asking why they believe that. And basically, the whales have come in, and there's been a lot of big money being bet on Dillon Gabriel to win the Heisman Trophy in Vegas. Now, they started taking bets on Gabriel at the beginning of July, and we've seen, I guess this would be like 9-1 odds, right? 7 plus 750, right?
Well, then we just, you said
15-2,
so that's like 7.5 to 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we've seen this kind of shrink because big money and public money has come in on Dillon Gabriel. And that is because you look at the influential bettors, the people that kind of move lines in heavy money coming in. What that does is you have the books will adjust accordingly. And looking at why the bettors would come in the sharps or whales as they are, would come in big on a guy like Dillon Gabriel. Just look at his career yards. In last year, he threw for 3,600 yards and 30 touchdowns. Very effective at the University of Oklahoma a year ago. But he also has a track record. Dude has thrown for 3,000 yards in college 4 years now.
That's not too shabby.
4 times he has crossed the 3,000-yard mark.
And with COVID, he's still got 7 years of eligibility.
Right. Still got one more. And when you look at, he has 4 seasons of 25 or more touchdowns, 2 seasons of 30 or more, and then one where it was 29. Huh?
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Round up.
And then a 25 touchdown season, his sophomore year back in 2020, for God's sakes. So you look at the metrics, completion percentage, he's hovering like around 65% for his career in completion percentage. Racks up a ton of yards, touchdowns, doesn't throw a lot of picks over his career. I don't think he's ever thrown double-digit interceptions. I think the most he's ever had is 8. 7 is the most he's ever had his freshman year at Central Florida. So you look at the metrics will say, okay, he's a reliable passer. He's going to be on a good team. Oregon is a team that is favored to be in the college football playoffs, 12-team field. Also, you're looking at potential Big Ten winner in that regard. And when you get good value on that, that's where the sharps are going to start pumping that money towards it. I think a lot of it also comes out of the hype that Oregon's receiving room is getting. We had Pro Football Focus rated them as the number 1 receiver room in the country. The CBS Sports poll had Oregon as the number 1 receiver room in the country. And I've been banging this drum since spring ball. Oregon is about 8 deep in pass catchers when you take the wide receivers and the tight ends together. They've got 8 guys that they feel high level, very comfortable. Losing a guy like Troy Franklin is a big one. You bring in Evan Stewart. You bring back Tez Johnson. You also have Trayshawn Holden coming back this year. And then you add in guys like Terrence Ferguson, where the safety blanket. I think what they're saying is a very good team in Oregon and a quarterback that is going to put up big numbers if he stays healthy. That's where that money is coming in on.
Which of those new, or not necessarily new, but which of those pass catchers do you think can come in and come closest to being a wide receiver one like Franklin?
Evan Stewart.
Yeah.
Evan Stewart, the Texas A&M transfer, is a guy that he had a couple of plays in the spring game, which is what most people are going off of. But when you go behind the scenes, when you go and you watch their practices, and when you talk to people that were there at every single practice, he is the real deal. Evan Stewart is that dude, and he is a wide receiver one. He will high point the ball. He's a crisp route runner. He has the ability to stretch a defense vertically, and he is a wide receiver one kind of prototype type guy. Then you have Tez Johnson, who you will put in the slot, and he's one of the fastest guys in college football.
Yeah.
I mean,
that doesn't hurt to have.
He is lightning fast, and we saw last year the transition from Troy and kind of working his way up as the season went on. He became more and more of a factor in their offense and became more and more dynamic, and they figured out ways to scheme him open. And Bo Nix, obviously, the connection that those two had going back to high school, it was apparent that he is a get open receiver, and he can stretch you vertically and horizontally when he takes you across the field. Tez Johnson is that dude, and then you have plenty of red zone targets as well. And there's very high optimism for guys like, Jurion Dickey, Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end, who had a phenomenal spring. I think that when you look at where the sharp money is going with Dillon Gabriel for the Heisman, that's where they get to that point, is that, all right, it's going to be a good team that is relevant, and he is going to put up some crooked numbers when you look at the game to game. Obviously, the things that factor into this are the preseason favorite very rarely wins the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
I went back and I was just looking this up when I saw it. You go, all right, so last year, preseason favorite overwhelmingly was Caleb Williams at USC. He was the defending Heisman Trophy winner. And, of course, Jaden Daniels comes in from LSU, and he was plus 1,100 at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And he, in preseason, plus 1,100, he ends up taking home the hardware. You go back to 2022 season, C.J. Stroud at Ohio State was the guy that everybody was pointing to. Caleb Williams ended up, taking that trophy and just ripping it away. Because, look, here's the thing, is all of this is going to change if Dillon Gabriel doesn't have a good performance against Ohio State, right, if he falters against Michigan. In the marquee games, you have to step up and you have to put up those big numbers, right? Yeah. And, guys that overcome a loss or two in winning the Heisman Trophy, everybody goes to, well, they didn't lose that game because of him. He put up the great numbers and they still ended up losing. That's what Jaden Daniels was to a T last year, was, it wasn't his fault that they lost football games. It's like, well, they also went out of their way to pad his stats at the end of the year. Yeah. And dum-dums that vote are like, ooh, big numbers. Me like, he can run and throw. Vote Heisman. You go back to 2021, Spencer Rattler. He was the preseason Heisman favorite. Ooh. Yep. Bryce Young won that one.
Yeah.
And he had 9-1 odds. And then in 2020, Justin Fields, the Ohio State quarterback, was the preseason favorite. That went to Devontae Smith out of Alabama. Because you are a preseason favorite, it means nothing to you winning the Heisman Trophy. But when you look at kind of how we get to this point, that's how you can see it. I mean, you have a guy who's put up gaudy numbers. He's thrown for over 10,000 yards in college football in his career. He is on a good team, and they have weapons that universally people agree the Oregon Ducks receiving core and their offense as a whole, whether you look at the offensive line, the running back room, the Oregon Ducks will be potent offensively. Quarterback, yep, we're going to go there. We're going to do it. And look, if you don't think that there will be a storyline of a Hawaiian quarterback going to the University of Oregon, wearing the number 8 and having a great year, people are going to just point back to Marcus Mariota and say, oh, we love this story. And so there's going to be a level of hype around that as well. But if I'm sitting here on July 12th, 2024, and saying Dillon Gabriel's going to be the Heisman Trophy winner, there are so many variables that could happen that could torpedo any Heisman campaign. Just look at history, which will tell you the preseason favorite is never the guy who wins the Heisman Trophy, or very rarely does that happen in college football. That's why we put up a poll at Danny and Dusty on Twitter this Yacht Rock Friday. Who will win the Heisman Trophy? If it is other, please reply in the comments. You got Dylan Gabriel, University of Oregon, Carson Beck, Georgia, Quinn Ewers, Texas, or Jackson Dart from Ole Miss. Those are your options. So please go and vote. And oh, by the way, those are the top 4 in the preseason odds right now. Dylan Gabriel plus 750, Carson Beck plus 800, Quinn Ewers plus 900, and then Jackson Dart at plus 1,500. I also think that when you look at the hype going into this year, I don't think there is a clear cut heading into this year that people are pointing to. And that's where you're going to see people with value go, okay, we saw value in Dylan Gabriel. Big money went that way.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling this year especially, it's going to change. It's going to flip-flop a lot.
Well, it's funny because last year going into the season, it felt like Caleb Williams was going to be head and shoulders above everybody else. And then what happened?
Well,
like we didn't go into last season thinking like it's this year where we don't really have a clear cut.
You know what's fascinating to me is that they have the top 10 in the Heisman voting on ESPN. Shedeur Sanders is not one of them. I mean, you think of the hype train, it means a lot.
Yeah.
And if the hype train does not seem to be following Colorado, which got picked to finish 10th in the Big 12. But as Shedeur Sanders said, every game is every other team's Super Bowl for us.
Yeah. Well, wait, but 12th in the Big 12 is no longer last place. Don't they have 16
it's
now?
10. It's 10. Yeah, 10 out of 16. So
okay.
not quite the bad.
Gotcha.
Not quite the bottom there. So go ahead and vote.
Bad.
No, go ahead and vote at Danny and Dusty on Twitter. Dylan Gabriel, the Heisman Trophy front runner, as we sit in July 12th, 2024. There are a couple other guys that I think could be viable Heisman candidates. We'll get to those next. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust here with your Sports Center update. First on the Fan, Trailblazers begin Las Vegas Summer League play tomorrow night with number 7 pick Donovan Clingan, Ryan Rupert, and Chris Murray on the roster, but no Scoot Henderson. They'll face Stephon Castle and the Spurs. 6 o'clock tip at the Thomas and Mack Center on ESPN2. Mariners have won 3 straight. Game 2 of 4 this evening at the Angels. Brian Wu starting for Seattle. Tyler Anderson for LA. 6:38 first pitch on Root Sports. Those pesky Astros keeping pace in the AL West, still hanging just 2 games behind the Mariners. Round 2 of the Genesis Scottish Open has just wrapped up. Ludwig Åberg is your leader after his second straight 6 under 64. He's 12 under overall, 1 stroke clear of Antoine Rosner. Rory McIlroy and Colin Morikawa among those tied for 5th, 3 strokes back at 9 under par. Stuart Sink is 7 under, and Wyndham Clark tied for 47th at 4 under. He'll make the cut and play this weekend. And Sunday's Wimbledon men's singles final all set after this morning's semifinals. Carlos Alcaraz advances after beating Daniil Medvedev in 4 sets, and Novak Djokovic took care of Italy's Lorenzo Musetti in straight sets. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The home of prime time with Isaac and Sue. Weekdays 3 to 7, 1080 The Fan.
All right, 503-864-6326. That is the Vancouver Ford text line. We are talking about the Heisman Trophy odds. Dylan Gabriel is now the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy at plus 750. He was 14-1 to start the Heisman Trophy odds, and now he is vaulted up because of the big money swinging in towards Dylan Gabriel. Now, Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers, quarterbacks at Georgia and Texas respectively, are right behind him, as is Jackson Dart. But this year feels like a weird year in college football where when you don't have the stone cold lock quarterback that you're kind of looking towards, and you could see a year where we get a position player. And I think there's some really good value on position players on really damn good teams that may steal a little bit of the thunder. And I think that if you look at, I've got 4 guys that might be, this is kind of the year that they rise up and they pop. Defense, this year's loaded defensively in all of college football. When you look at guys like James Pierce, the defensive end, or the edge rusher from Tennessee, he's absolutely a menace on the outside. You got Mason Graham, the defensive tackle at Michigan, who is a dude of galactic proportions in the middle. Like, he garners 3 sets of eyes on every play because he is squarely in the middle of your offense. So you got your center and both of your guards have to be aware of where he's at on every single play. But you are not going to see a traditional defensive player win. And I think Caleb Downs, the safety from Ohio State, is one of the best players in all of college football, period. But you got guys like Quinshawn Judkins, the running back at Ohio State. He's transferred from Ole Miss, and the part that may knock him down a peg and why you may not see any value on him is because Travion Henderson is the running back at Ohio State who, has had his injury history, but they are going to be a 1-2 punch in that backfield. But one thing that Judkins will be able to do is he has the ability to be a bell cow back, and he's also a receiver out of the backfield as well, where they can throw the ball to him. So he's going to have that double dip of rushing and receiving yards.
Multidimensional.
And he is explosive as all get out, and he's going to be on a really damn good Ohio State team where the quarterback is not going to be the guy who garners much of the attention because it's Will Howard, the transfer from Kansas State. Now, he may be a dark horse because if you have Judkins putting up funny numbers, and then you have another guy in Emeka Egbuka, the wide receiver out of Steilacoom up in Washington, the Tacoma area, he's going to be wide receiver number 1, the best wide receiver in the country for my money is Egbuka. This may be a year where if you don't have that sexy quarterback that everybody's pointing to, you could have either one of those Ohio State guys, whether it's a running back or the receiver. It will be, does one of those guys steal the other one's thunder, right? And that one could come to play. I think Ollie Gordon, the second, who is probably the best true runner in college football, he's not going to win a Heisman Trophy. You don't get a DUI at 20 years old and then your head coach step in it and make it an even bigger deal as people were starting to forget.
I've done it thousands of times.
And then say, we're going to give him the ball 50 times in game 1 against South Dakota State, and that'll be his punishment. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
People don't forget.
Well, and his punishment is bringing him along to Big 12 Media Day, so he has to face the music.
That's right. I'll go a guy that this may be the year to do it because it'll be highlighted because the defensive side of the ball in no clear-cut winner is if Travis Hunter can stay healthy this year at Colorado, playing wide receiver and corner, that may be the ultimate prize. Now, his production is going to be dependent on his health. And look, if we're being honest, if Colorado is 4-8 again this year, you're not getting a guy the Heisman Trophy who's on a 4-8 team. But this is, if they can become bowl eligible in year 2 under Deion, everybody knows that this is the year that he has got to, that if you're going to give him the Heisman Trophy, it's got to be this year because he's going to be gone in the NFL next year because this is year 3 for Travis Hunter. I think Travis Hunter at Colorado is also a guy that should be in this conversation as we're looking at people where, again, preseason odds, they never win the Heisman Trophy. Devontae Smith wasn't even on the board in the preseason when he won the Heisman Trophy back in 2020. So a lot will change between right now and where we are at the end of the year.
So with Travis Hunter, is he expected to play more, a bunch more two-way again this year? Or
Yeah.
focus? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. He's going to be playing wide receiver and corner
So I
again
suppose
this year.
that helps him in
I think
Heisman odds.
it'll help him tremendously because we look at the last two-way player to win it was Charles Woodson, and he played limited wide receiver. Travis Hunter is a guy who plays a lot of wide receiver for them, but
Just plays
they
a
were
lot,
just
period.
so bad.
Yeah.
They were so bad last year. You can't have another 4-8 season and have that. But you want to see a hype train get out of control. Watch him put up funny numbers, and then they get bowl eligible. He wins a Heisman Trophy, and Deion all of a sudden has Heisman Trophy winner and one of the top quarterbacks come off the board, and things start trending in the right direction, which I kind of hope happens.
Nah.
I do. Like, I want Deion's experiment to be a disruptor in the world of college football.
See, listen, I don't have a problem with Colorado being loud, but be loud if you're good. Don't be loud and
that's
suck.
why I'm saying they got to be good.
Yeah.
They've got to be good.
But this is why a lot of people are rooting against them, because they're loud and bad.
Yeah. I also think one other guy that we may be sleeping on now, and if Quinn Ewers throws some interceptions this year at Texas and his numbers aren't as gaudy, but this guy's are, you could see Isaiah Bond, the wide receiver at Texas, vault himself into this conversation as the season goes on. Because he is that dude who's kind of been hidden behind A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy. He is a guy that can pop this year, and people love that guy who comes out of relative obscurity.
Mm-hmm.
If people that follow college football, Isaiah Bond. You know how explosive he is and how good he can be. But I think to the common fan, if he starts putting up those funny numbers and he has 1,500 yards receiving this year, you may see Isaiah Bond be that guy as well. But then again, Quinn Ewers already starts with the hype machine behind him as the third best odds. May get buried behind him. So go ahead and vote on the poll. It is at Danny and Dusty on Twitter. Who wins the Heisman Trophy this year? Dylan Gabriel, the University of Oregon, who's the odds-on favorite. Carson Beck, the Georgia quarterback. Quinn Ewers, Jackson Dart, or other. Reply in the comments. As it currently stands right now, 44.8% say Dylan Gabriel, Carson Beck at 27.6%, Quinn Ewers at 17.2%, and then old Jackson Dart from Ole Miss at 10.3%. Coming up next, we got another tough one here in the Fan family, and we need to rally the troops. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. 503-864-6326. That's the Vancouver Ford text line. All texts to the fan are via the Vancouver Ford text line. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit them online at vancouverford.com. I hate doing these, and I hope that we never have to do them again. But another member of our fan family is in quite the battle right now. Our guy Rashad Taylor, who hosts Sports Sunday here on the Fan, he fills in a lot. He's a hell of a person.
He's just a good dude.
Truly one of the most genuine people that works here, and a good person all the way through. He was one of our Hunt for the Host winners, and is always going to be connected to our family and to the fan here. He's going through quite the battle. I know that he mentioned it on Sports Sunday, his last Sports Sunday show that he was on a couple of weeks ago. But he went in for a routine checkup, and doctors discovered he had a tumor the size of a cantaloupe on his kidney. On July 3rd, day before 4th of July, he went in for surgery to have the tumor removed, and they found that it was not cantaloupe sized, it was watermelon sized. He was not feeling like any adverse effects or anything like that heading into it, but it was a lengthy surgery. I think it was an 8-hour surgery that Rashad had. And when the surgery took place, they noticed that the tumor had grown, and they not only removed that, but his kidney, adrenal glands, spleen, and a majority of his pancreas. They went in and biopsied the tumor, and he is a very private person.
Mm-hmm.
And in talking to him, he was like, we decided like this was going to be the best course of action. He has started a GoFundMe because this is going to be a months-long recovery for Rashad. And my heart goes out to him. He's a father. He just got married a month ago. And this all happened. So if you go to my Twitter feed at Dusty_Hera, I have tweeted out his GoFundMe. He's an incredible person, and he is the king of positive vibes. So if you don't have the means or don't have anything extra, we know that times can be tough. Just let him know that you're thinking of him, because he's in a struggle right now, and we love Rashad.
Yeah.
So anything that we can help him out with, we want to help him out with. And with Mike Lynch, and you got your help Mike take a swinge against ALS.
Got it in the mail yesterday.
And now Rashad, we're pulling for both of our guys here, and they're always going to be our guys. So if you can help Rashad out any way you can, please do it. Please do it, because he deserves it, and we got a lot of great people that work here. And I think that's when, we go out to the golf tournament yesterday. We see all of our listeners. We see everybody that listens to the station. That's a connection that people make, is that we have good people that work here.
Well, yeah, there's a reason why there's not a ton of turnaround here. People stick around for a long time because, we've got good people. We're a family. Yeah. And even though, like you said earlier in the show, you might not see Isaac and Suk or the morning guys much, but still, you keep in touch some, and everybody's got each other's back.
Yep, absolutely. And, this is going to be a lengthy hospital stay for Rashad right now, and a lengthy recovery, and, bills add up very quickly in that time. So we know everybody has got their own stuff and their own struggles, but even if you can just drop him a line on social media, let him know you're thinking of him, I know it means the world to him as well. So again, I've tweeted it out at Dusty_Hera. We have it on the fan account, Danny and Dusty account, Dirt and Sprague's account.
Been
we're all
retweeted by everybody.
Yep. And just spread the word, because the dude is fun and engaging as he is on the air here. The one thing that I am always in awe of with Rashad is that his connection with the community, and how much he cares about the community, and backs it up with his words and actions, both. This city and the people that live in it mean a ton to him. And he has gone out of his way to be a mentor to so many young people in this area. So, yeah, love you, Rashad. And if you can, please help him out and show that love and pass it along.
Fight like hell, Rashad.
Fight like hell. Let's go kick this thing's ass, buddy. All right, let's get into our sports world again here as Danny is gone today because of the Portland Trailblazers being in the Vegas Summer League.
Oh, he's not just sleeping it off?
Not just sleeping it off.
Okay.
He held it together, man, yesterday.
He did, actually. I was kind of surprised at how good a shape he was in when I got there.
Yeah, I think it was a long day.
Yeah.
He paced himself, and then in the blistering sun, we all kind of hit a wall a little bit.
It'll get you differently.
Yeah. But he's down in Vegas right now for the Blazers Summer League. Who is the most intriguing Blazer for you this Summer League? Scoot Henderson, not on the Summer League roster. We've got options. Danny Dusty on the Fan. Hour number 2 on this Friday afternoon. Danny and Dusty. Danny Meringue is down in Las Vegas, which leaves us with a Rusty and Dusty edition of Danny and Dusty today. The Portland Trail Blazers will get their Summer League slate underway tomorrow. They've got a tilt against the San Antonio Spurs, 6 o'clock tomorrow night down in Las Vegas. And no Scoot Henderson in the Summer League lineup for the Portland Trail Blazers. I think to the of a lot of folks out there, second-year guard who went through it coming off the bench last year for a majority of the season, and a summer league that was cut short last year. Remember, he had that shoulder strain last year that cut his summer league short after just a couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have no Scoot in summer league. I would have loved to have seen him alongside especially Donovan Clingan,
yes,
who you get to see kind of maybe how they'll work a little bit, but no Scoot in the Summer League, which leaves the Portland Trail Blazers roster with a little bit to be desired if we want to raise a third banner for the Summer League here in the fan studios.
Yeah, basically you got Clingan and then Ryan Rupert, Chris Murray, and Justin Minaya.
Yeah, as guys that are...
and Minaya's even still just on, I think he's just on a two-way.
Yes, he is. He's on a two-way deal.
Newly signed.
And then you have, was it Jack Kui, the Chinese forward that they signed to an Exhibit 10 deal.
Who I believe was the recipient of a Duop Wreath headbutt.
Hey, it's
this past week.
Don't worry. That's international play.
Yeah.
When they're on the same team, don't worry about that. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. It leaves a roster that... you're not as hyped as in years past, right? Where you watch the guys from the year before and then your current draftees kind of come together. But that is neither here nor there, because I think that really this comes down to there's 3 guys that Blazer fans will be intrigued to watch.
Yes.
And they are Donovan Clingan, Ryan Rupert, and Chris Murray. Because everything that has been said about Chris Murray especially is, he's a year or 2 behind his brother in basically everything, right? Just that development. And we've seen what Keegan Murray has grown into down in Sacramento. And it's not just a solid level role player.
Yeah.
He is plus in a plethora of categories and has become kind of a linchpin down there. With Chris Murray, you want to see, all right, the body is, you see the body is changing. He's gaining weight. Mm-hmm. And that confidence that we started to see at the end of last season, is that going to grow and carry over into, all right, year 2, now ready to kind of take some games over and take moments over in games, right? Not take a game over, but take over moments and have that confidence in his game, because we saw it was trigger shy early and it was kind of, all right, do I belong? Prove that he did belong on the floor.
Yes.
To what level can his game grow to? I'm intrigued to see Chris Murray.
Mm-hmm.
Donovan Clingan, obviously, when you have the 7th overall pick, in the offense will be run mainly around big old Clingan down there.
Yeah.
That in his, just like we saw with Zach Edey, all right, how does the 7-footer and his skill set translate to the NBA style of game? Because college is so much more different. We saw that Clingan, Edey, his game, it was not as big of a transition that we thought. It is summer league still.
Yes.
Like take everything with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
It is summer league
You're
still.
playing under the bench guys here, two-way G League. Yeah.
He was not playing against Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo, any of those guys, right? But you want to see what Donovan Clingan looks like in the NBA style of game, and around a team where, look, the dude won high school state championships, won back-to-back national titles at UConn, right? He has been part of winners through and through, where when you have a winner, it is not just down to one guy, it's the collection of talent that is around him, especially with that UConn team. That is not going to be the case, even in Vegas Summer League. Mm-hmm. And so what does Donovan Clingan's game look like? Do we get to see that outside shooting that he said, I have it? It was just not part of what we needed to do to win at a high level at UConn.
Yeah.
It will be a part of the Blazers needing to win games in Summer League or the NBA style of play with the ability to stretch a defense and keep them honest.
Now, this is where it would have been nice to see Scoot in Summer League for a game or two, see what kind of good juju he can build with Klingon in terms, setting up alley-oops and whatnot, maybe some pick and roll. But yeah, would have been nice to see him for a bit. I understand why they didn't want to, because like you said, with his injury early on last year, and before that, Shaden Sharp getting shut down early because of an injury of his own. And they're just, look, a lot of time, whether it means a big deal or not, but the Trailblazers seem to always be snake bitten with injuries at inopportune times.
Sometimes by choice.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Sometimes they are opportune times.
The guy, though, I am, and this is even more so than Donovan Klingon, the guy I'm most interested to see in the summer league is Ryan Rupert. They drafted him last year with a ton of upside. Baby Batum kind of was what he was labeled because, one, stylistically, his game kind of looked like Batum's, but a mentor to him has been Nicola Batum, who was a fan favorite here in Portland, has had an incredibly long career in the NBA, just re-signed with the Clippers earlier this week.
You could do worse in terms of mentors too.
Absolutely.
That's phenomenal.
With Ryan Rupert, there is the body change like we were talking about with Chris Murray, where he's put on weight, and we saw just how, and it really was last year, the summer league, it was not good to Ryan Rupert.
No.
You saw that there was that transitionary period. He spent time in the G League last year with the remix, and then we started to see him to get a little bit of minutes at the end of last season. And you saw that as he got time, not just in the NBA, but in the States, you saw a more comfortable Ryan Rupert.
Yes.
I want to see kind of the development of his game because, look, that's the whole point of this front office is evaluate talent and bring those guys in, and they got to become developers.
Yeah,
and this
see who could become a key in the future.
The front office and now this coaching staff, development of guys like Ryan Rupert and Jim Moran, the G League coach. That's what he was. His first trip here in Portland was he was talent development type guy, and he had great success doing that. I would love to see kind of where Ryan Rupert's game is at right now, because when you look at the tangibles, he is long, he is athletic, and he's one of those guys where if he gets that 3-point stroke, what can he become? Because it is Nick Batum even said it. He's like, better than I was at that age. And we saw how quickly Batum was able to make his presence felt here in Portland.
Yeah.
Right? Now we're entering year 2 with Ryan Rupert. I'm really excited to see kind of what his future entails here in Portland, because he is a great unknown.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not going to be like, Bob, they beat San Antonio in Summer League. Ryan Rupert went for 20. I'm going to go over the moon. No, I take everything with Summer League with a grain of salt, but you can have these markers of growth and development from these young players. And that's why, again, I would have loved to seen Scoot in Summer League this year and just playing alongside all three of those guys that we mentioned in Klingon, Rupert, and Murray.
And what's nice about Rupert too, in a lot of the same vein as Batum, he wasn't brought to this team. He wasn't drafted to come in and be like a number 1 or a number 2 guy. He's brought in to come to see, what kind of a role player he can develop into. And so he doesn't have that kind of pressure on his shoulders. He can go out and he's still, is he still 19? He's still just a baby. But he's got some room to go out and, go through some mistakes and some growing pains and know that it's not going to cost him, a Batman or Robin spot on this team.
He is 20 now. He turned 20 on May 31st.
Still just a baby.
He is a baby. Yeah. And look, dude is freakishly long. I mean, he's got like a 7'3" wingspan, and he's like 6'7".
That's bananas.
He could be a fun one to watch grow and develop. And look, it may just be me because when Batum was a rookie, I went to Blazers Media Day, and like literally nobody was sitting around Nick Batum. He was this quiet French kid, and just kind of talking to him, and he was open, honest, and he was like, I want to be a player. I want to show that I have what it takes to stick it out in the NBA. And damn, he became a fan favorite here. And if Batum is sitting there and speaks of him so highly, and that's who Rupert wants to kind of model his game after, I'm in. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
No waving the white flag here. Not today.
Cheese-eating surrender monkeys.
But those three guys, I think that's where all eyes will be.
Yeah.
And somebody's going to go off in a game. They're going to be like, Blazers need to sign him. It's like, no. Let's pump the brakes. It is Summer League, but they get it going against Stephon Castle and the San Antonio Spurs tomorrow, 6 o'clock. And yes, all of the games in the G League Summer League will be televised on either ESPN or NBA TV.
Mm-hmm.
So you will have the ability to watch the Portland Trail Blazers all throughout the Summer League because they play tomorrow against San Antonio. Monday, they got the 76ers on their Summer League slate. So it'll be all worthwhile to go and watch. And I believe it's ESPN2 for tomorrow's game.
Yeah, 6 o'clock ESPN2.
And then Monday and Tuesday when they play Philly and Washington, those both will be on NBA TV.
Yeah, and so you've got 4 games scheduled originally. In a hard schedule, you have at least a 5th game, and then beyond that, they start the playoff bracket, if you will.
All right. Hey, basketball coverage on the Fan is presented by T-Mobile. Switch to T-Mobile and you can get tons of benefits and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. Use their savings calculator to find out how at T-Mobile.com/switch. Coming up next, it ain't the SEC where it just means more. You could just put South America. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. We had this conversation on Wednesday. Danny brought up a little soccer talk about U.S. needing to fire their coach, Greg Berhalter. That's a hard name to say.
Well, you want to say like
Berhalter.
You want to say like Burkhalter.
Yeah.
You want to throw a K in there.
Yeah, you sure do.
You're not used to that.
Well, they did yesterday. But on Wednesday evening, we didn't have a show yesterday, so we didn't get to talk about this.
Well, you didn't have a show yesterday.
We didn't have a show yesterday, so we didn't get to talk about this. But Uruguay played Colombia in the Copa America tournament. And this game was in Charlotte, North Carolina, that those two teams played. Okay? Let's just lay this out here. That is thousands upon thousands of miles away from either one of these nations. And there were 70,000 fans at the old Carolina Panthers Stadium to watch Uruguay and Colombia play. And it was like 90% Colombia fans from what I gathered.
Yeah.
Well, it got ugly at the end of that thing. We had players going into the stands to fight after the game. It was Malice at the Palace that we had.
Oh, man.
Right?
Yeah.
Darwin Nunez and a few other Uruguayan players, they went up into the stands after losing to Colombia 1-0 in the Copa America. And we saw them first it was like verbal barbs being thrown at each other. And then we saw fisticuffs flying.
Ooh.
We saw punches thrown. Do you see this?
No.
You didn't see this at all?
I didn't see any of this video, no.
You need to go look this up, Rust, because they went up into the stands and we saw fists fly after a 1-0 loss in Charlotte. This isn't like a game that was played in Colombia or Uruguay, right? This was played in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we have punches thrown in the stands by the players. Now, the Uruguay's captain, he came out and he said that the reason why people were up in the stands is that they felt their families were in danger. There was beer being in objects being thrown at the fans for Uruguay behind their bench, and they felt that they were in danger, which I totally understand. Sometimes these things just get absolutely out of control, and you can't control it by any measure, right? But this is also like, you look at it and you say, why isn't the United States good at soccer? Not because our fans abuse visiting fans when they play friendlies here, but the level of delusion in other nations surrounding their international soccer teams, it plays out all the time.
Yeah.
We have in America, and Danny and I have talked about this, is that largely soccer and elite soccer prices people out in the United States. It's just too expensive, and it becomes not readily available as it is in other nations, where you have anywhere you have a ball and two objects that can be used as a goal, you can go and you can play soccer there. The case in the States is that you get priced out so early on in soccer. We're seeing it right now. I have a 10-year-old daughter who plays competitive soccer. It's expensive.
Yeah.
It is ridiculously expensive for a 10-year-old girl to play soccer. And the passion that the fans have here is nowhere near the delusion and line stepping that you see. This doesn't make the ugly mess that happened justifiable by any means in Charlotte, what happened, but we don't, and it doesn't say that we don't have players in the United States team that would go up and fight somebody if they felt their family was in danger.
Right.
But it just shows that that whole SEC, it just means more here, right? That's their whole champion cry. Well, guess who runs college football? The SEC, because their passion is over the top, right? You have high schools like in South Carolina. I think, what is it, Burns High School, where Marshawn Lattimore went. I remember watching a thing when they were playing on ESPN, a high school football game. This was back in 2005, right? 2004, 2005, where it was you started a fund for your kid for his high school football career when he was born. You can just kind of put some money in the 401k, you put some money towards the football program, right? The passion in the South, the passion in Texas, in Florida for high school football, is not matched out here.
No,
we don't
not even
have
close.
that out here.
No.
And guess what states pump out talent left, right, and center across college football? The states that care the most, right? You see that, and it's no different in soccer, right?
Yep.
It's no different in the world of soccer where you see the nations in the countries. We're wondering, why are we losing? We've got way more people and way more resources. It is the passion for the game that crosses over, like we make fun of the South for college football, into delusion and habitual line stepping time and time again. And that was a wild scene to see, because you would think, 5,000 miles from Colombia or Uruguay.
Right.
I don't know how far away they are.
It's far enough.
But you're going like
There's a lot of
5,000
water.
miles away.
Yeah, a lot of water in between home and Charlotte.
And you got all of their goons are showing up to the game and harassing people for the Copa America. This wasn't a World Cup game. This was just, we hate you.
Yeah.
We love our soccer that much. That was a wild scene to see.
I just caught a couple of glimpses of it in there with the fist. Did I hear something about somebody throwing a chair or something too?
Yeah. It was like a WWE wrestling
Man.
event going on up there. And look, the Darwin Nunez, the Uruguayan player that went up into the stands that I think was the most visible people. They're like, why was he wearing a sports bra? That's one of those tracking devices.
Right.
Like
gotcha.
all NFL players wear them. Most college football players wear them
Tracking
now.
heart rate and such.
It's their performance tracking thing. It does look like a sports bra, though.
Man.
I mean, it's a weird. It's just a weird. It looks like it would be very uncomfortable to wear.
Yeah.
Like, and just have that on all the time. But you'd think that they'd have a different way to track it, right? Like, can't you just do like a little like bracelet or something?
Sure.
I don't know.
I mean, everybody else just does a Fitbit.
They're not. Yeah, right. Like a little
Apple Watch.
Fitbit type thing.
Yeah.
But he was not wearing a sports bra. He was wearing the tracking device.
Gotcha.
Because that was the whole thing. Is this is a dude wearing a sports bra up in the stands for? It's like, get over that. He was trying to fight some dudes for throwing beer at his family. Wild scene. Absolutely wild scene. And here's a text here on the Vancouver Ford text line. Says, when I was a kid in Premier ODP soccer, I used to complain to my parents that we never took vacation. When I was older and saw the time and money my parents spent on soccer, I understood and felt terrible for complaining. Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy. And another text says, no, in other countries, soccer clubs and recruit kids to play for them and pay for their education and housing for them and their family. Oh, absolutely. Like, this is like, in that is it right there, right? Instead of families individually paying thousands of dollars every year for, to be on the team, and then, oh, by the way, additional money to pay for the tournament. It's a flipped script when you go to European countries or when you go down to South America. Like, there's kids that are like 10 years old that are signed into academy in Europe, and that's who they play for. And some of them move away. I think, what was it? I watched a David Beckham documentary on Netflix. It's actually really good. But they were saying at like 14 years old, it was like, bye, you're moving away.
Man.
But the club and the academy, they're paying for your education. They're paying for everything. That is the kind of the way that the balance, the scale is tipped, in that we'll pay for all of this.
Yeah.
But
so over there, it's like a lot of the East Coast kids here, you've got them getting sent away to a prep school or, something like that in their high school years. It's just over there. It's about sports.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you right now, like, that's what it is when you go in the South with football, right? Think about it in basketball terms, right? We have schools like down in Vegas, whether it's Bishop Gorman or Findlay Prep. You go Montverde Academy, the IMG Academy. You have, they're the school Oak Hill Academy in Virginia, right? They're doing that. They're moving away.
Yeah.
They go and they're staying in, whether it's, boarding school on-site facilities that they're living in. we see that. We see that to a far smaller degree here in the States, but it's the same principles, right?
Right.
IMG Academy started as like a tennis academy for that same reason, and it's ballooned into a football and basketball powerhouse now. Like it's we have a little bit of it, but it's not in the sports that we covet here, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's one of the things about United States soccer that I think as the MLS and the MLS does have youth academies now, like the Timbers have a youth academy. If the MLS game continues to grow here in the States, and we've seen substantial growth in profitability of the MLS over the last decade, especially, if you see that growth happen, I mean, yeah, we could see the exact same kind of boom in what should be our golden generation in soccer, which is now in the United States, which is not turning out to be that.
No, it's not.
Because we just want to blame coaching.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's the coaches.
What are we talking about? The Blazers again?
No, that's just every sport. That's what we like to do, right? That's what sports fans like to do. That's what they do in Europe too. It's like, hey, it couldn't be our players. It's got to be the coaching.
It's got to be coaching.
Got to be the coaching. Not getting those guys up to snuff here. But I think we get it skewed here too in the States in that we look at, and we used to look at it college wise for basketball, but it is college football is our minor league system, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's our developmental breeding ground is our local high schools and our colleges to kind of grow those athletes, but it's nowhere near as dialed in as what they have over there in Europe for soccer. All right, we got fights, man. That's how you get me to talk soccer?
Violence.
A little bit of that.
Yeah.
A little bit of that. It was a wild scene that took place, and Fox Sports just casually, like it was on FS1, they just casually like, and here's a scene brewing in Charlotte where it appears that a couple of players have gone into the stands and they're having verbal exchange with fans, and then you hear this lady go, "Oh," and then you start seeing punches thrown. It's like, yeah, I don't think that's what's happening. He's like, ugly scene. Yeah, it was.
Ugly scene. Well, it's Wednesday.
I mean, Uruguay's in the SEC of South America, southeastern part of South America. So it just means more there, It just means more. And in the Northwest, because Colombia's fans were absolutely lunatics on Wednesday night. Okay, we've got a worst day on the web where, folks, I don't understand the criticism towards one of the parties involved.
Right.
What we have here is some shenanigans, and I'm for it. I am for the stand that was taken. Danny and Dusty, here's Rust with SportsCenter.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by PG Long Floor Covering, carpet, hardwood, or laminate, flooring cleaning, or restoration. Call PG Long, your Northwest flooring experts, pglongllc.com. First on the Fan, the Trailblazers begin Las Vegas Summer League play tomorrow night. Get a look at number 7 pick Donovan Clingan, Ryan Repair, and Chris Murray, but no Scoot Henderson. They'll face Stephon Castle and the Spurs. 6 o'clock tip at the Thomas and Mack Center on ESPN2. I've got some Summer League play already underway. Second quarter, and the Magic lead the Cavaliers 36-27. Coming up at the top of the hour, you've got the Pelicans and the Timberwolves. Mariners have won 3 straight. Game 2 of 4 this evening at the Angels. Brian Wu starting for Seattle. Tyler Anderson for LA. 6:38 first pitch on Root Sports. Round 2 of the Genesis Scottish Open has wrapped up. Ludwig Oberg is your leader after his second straight 6 under 64. He's 12 under overall. 1 stroke clear of Antoine Rosner. Colin Morikawa and Rory McIlroy among those tied for 5th at 9 under. 3 strokes off the pace. And Sunday's Wimbledon men's final all set after this morning's semifinals. Carlos Alcaraz advances after beating Daniil Medvedev in 4 sets, and Novak Djokovic took care of Italy's Lorenzo Musetti in straight sets. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
This is your home for year-round NFL coverage. The Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan. worst day on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Well, that sucks.
All right, today's worst day on the web is quite the doozy, man. The question is being asked, was this man in the wrong? Okay. We go to TikTok for this. And a New York man who had set up a date online. And what ensued is something that I just shake my head at. And I don't understand why we have had this man become some sort of villain by some, and by others. I think the majority is saying the worst day on the web here is from the female in this encounter. We hand it over to Johnny on TikTok. Johnny America, of all people. And this may be the most American thing he could have done on his first date with this young woman.
I dined and dashed on a Hinge date, and let me tell you why. Well, on this Hinge date, I hit this girl up and I was like, hey, you want to meet up, grab lunch? So on a first date with someone online, I'm thinking something casual, right? Maybe like sushi, Panera, a salad, something easy, nothing crazy, right? This woman comes back with, I want hibachi. And I was like, hibachi? And she's like, yeah, I want hibachi. So I go, oh, okay, I guess. So I get there to meet this girl for hibachi, and she brings a friend with her, and she goes, hey, would it be cool if my friend just jumps in with us, hangs out? And I'm like, I guess. I mean, she's already here. Why don't I tell her, go away? So we sit down, we start kind of hanging out, talking, getting to know each other, stuff like that. Both of these women start ordering a bunch of drinks, and I'm like, okay. And then they start ordering appetizers, and the guy, the cook, he goes, what do you want? And I go, I would like just chicken and rice. Easy. I'm a simple man. The girls go, we want surf and turf. I go, you want surf and turf? They go, yeah, surf and turf. And I'm like, okay. In my mind, I'm like, all right, these girls think I'm stupid. I'm not. So we hang out, have fun, do our thing. And I'm just kind of enjoying the moment, but I know what the heck's going on. I know what's going on. So time goes by, and we're ready to pay the tab. And the cook guy goes, all right, how are we splitting up the bill today? The girl goes, all on one. So I'm like, what the hell did this girl say? In my mind, I'm like, what the heck? So I tell her, hey, do me a favor. Will you just box up my food real quick, and I'm going to go to the restroom? She goes, yeah, no problem. Guess where I went? I didn't go to the restroom. I went in my car and I went home. You think I'm stupid? I'm not. You paid my bill. Thanks.
I think this man's a hero.
Yeah.
I mean, that move right there. So he meets this girl on a dating app.
Yes.
And he's like, hey, let's go do lunch, right? Let's get to know each other.
Yeah, let's go get a Panera sandwich.
All her and her friend were thinking is, we're going to get a free meal out of this. Deal.
Yeah.
And to flip the script in that regard, I don't think that he's in the wrong here, because they were looking to swindle him out of some money.
Yeah.
And this guy, he ends up just saying, you two can split my one simple meal, not the surf and turf.
Yeah.
I'm not going surf and turf route here. I'm going chicken and rice.
Yeah.
Which I think is a reasonable thing for you to leave somebody and foot the bill with. Now, if he went, all right, hey, we're all surf and turf in here, we got 3 surf and turfs, then I would say, all right, maybe you can't dine and ditch on that. What you need to do at that point is be like, we'll split this up into 2. Mm-hmm. And even if you're going, I'll cover yours, I'm not covering hers.
Yeah.
Or you two can go ahead and split yours, because I didn't sign up for this tripod date that we got going on here.
Yeah. See, now here's my one thing here with the way that he handled this is when he got up and excused himself from the table. What I would have done would be to go to the hostess, whatever, what have you, manager, and be like, hey, I've got a bit of a situation over here. They're trying to swindle me. I'm getting out of this bad situation. I'd like to go ahead and cover my portion of the check before taking off, and then leave them with what they ordered. That's about the only thing I might have handled differently. Of course, I worked in restaurants for a long time too. So, I'm familiar with the old dine and dash, and what can come out of that. But anyway,
Yeah. I think that this is something that I'm glad it's going viral because we need to get this involved. Like, chivalry is not dead.
no,
It is not dead. What should be killed though is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run this bill up on you for no good reason. This guy, he's got as Vancouver Ford text line is saying, give him the old switcheroo here. That's what you need to do. And by posting this video, I think I have a little bit more respect for him. He didn't name names.
Nope, he didn't.
He just said, I went on a hinge date.
Yeah.
This is what happened. Because what he very easily could have done, and this is where I would say maybe he did cross the line here, is by naming names.
Yeah.
By saying, Rebecca and her friend Melissa showed up.
Yeah.
And they tried to pull one over on me, but I said nah.
Yeah. Well, this happens in the bar scene too. I remember getting off work one night and sitting down and because look, at old Chicago, we all got off work and sat down on the other side of the bar and drank most of the night's tips away. It's just, that happens. But I remember there's one of the regulars who kind of came in there a lot. He offered to buy two of our servers a drink, and they both chose the $9.95 beer, the Lindemann's Framboise, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, right. So they're like, oh, this guy wants to buy it. I'm gonna get something that I don't normally ever drink because it's expensive. And so they get their beers, and he comes over later, tries to talk to them. They're like, oh, we're not really interested right now. We're not really interested. And so they'll let him buy them the $10 beer, but not give them a second of the day.
See, that's the common courtesy there.
Yeah, exactly.
If somebody's willing to buy you a beer, you got to put up with a conversation.
Yeah.
However small it may be, you can cut it off pretty quickly too.
Yep. You don't want to talk, you don't accept the drink.
All right, we have part 2 from Johnny America here.
All right, guys, y'all wanted it. Part 2, here it is. So the next day, I go over to the hibachi restaurant, and I find our hibachi cook, and I go, hey, did those girls ever pay their tab, man? I want to make sure that they didn't leave the bill on you guys. He goes, they paid the bill, but they didn't pay. I go, what do you mean they didn't pay? He goes, I didn't see you come back, but about 30 minutes later, another man comes in and pays their tab for them, and then they leave. These two suckers called another idiot to come pay their bill, and this idiot actually did. There's no saving them. They're not good people. They're not. But needless to say, I cash apped the hibachi dude $20, called it a day, and I'm just going to move on with my life now.
Johnny America, solid dude.
Yeah.
Solid dude. Now, I wonder how many women there are that run this racket, because those two are not alone.
No.
They're definitely not alone.
And this
they
poor
know
bastard that came in and paid the tab for him, that they've got him basically on standby in the back pocket, and he's the one that keeps trying to muscle his way in, and they've got the palm on his forehead keeping him at arm's distance.
And what all this tells me is that whatever dude came in, he doesn't have any friends.
No.
Because his friends, if they
or
were
prospects,
good, they would have said, hey man, you're getting worked over here. You're not even in the friend zone.
Yeah.
You are in the sugar daddy zone.
Yes.
But he's probably not even getting any
exactly. That's where, so he's not even sugar daddy zone.
Yeah.
He's just in the sucker zone.
Sucker zone.
Yep.
That's a great way to put it.
Yep.
And I think that if anybody else has gone through this, online dating can be great. It can be great. My brother met his wife online dating. Ryan Buckley
I know
met his wife online dating.
I know not a thing about it. Thank God. Going on 22 years here married. So,
hey, congratulations. That is, and I'm just glad I did not go through the online dating.
No, I would not do well.
Now, there was a part of me that, when Tinder first came out, I was like, so what is it? Wait, what? This would have been trouble in college.
Yeah, right? Well, we did have Tinder in college. It was called The Bar.
That's right. That's right. And the swipe left and the swipe right was, your wobbles.
Yeah, exactly.
Walking through that bar.
Yeah, once the lights came up at last call, that was mostly the swipe right? Oh God, who have I been talking to all night?
This text Vancouver Ford text line. I knew chicks in college that did this all the time.
The next one is great. It's not a sugar daddy, he's a splendid daddy. That's good.
Oh man. Yeah, what are the odds that these women have their own TikTok where they basically break down how to do this on dates?
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing is that this game has been going for eternity.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's there's always been people trying to swindle the dummies. And some people fall for it, some don't.
Not Johnny America.
Nope.
Not Johnny America. I mean, I'd vote for him on this platform.
Yep.
If he gave me, the things that we need in this world, like a 18-week NFL schedule that has
2
President's
buys.
Day off,
Yeah.
I'd be involved.
Mm-hmm.
And then the old switcheroo, we're not going to take it anymore. Because, and this is like the problem, though, is that I think a lot of the dating mess, it gets put on dudes unfairly. Like, oh, they're just in it for one thing. No, this is a two-way street here where there's awful people everywhere. And you gotta be wary. You gotta keep one eye on them, especially in the online dating world, because there's some sickos. That's right. We're not gonna take it. We're twisted sister in this son of a gun.
Right.
Even on a Yacht Rock Friday.
Not taking this anymore.
Put him on the ballot. Johnny America 2024.
Absolutely.
All right. 503-864-6326. That's a Vancouver Ford text sign. Got some more of your thoughts on this coming up next. Danny Dusty on the Fan.
Hello, sports fans.
right, 503-864-6326. That's a Vancouver Forward text line. This texture on the American hero, Johnny America, who walked out on a bill after a woman he met on Hinge, the dating app, brought a friend, recommended and look, I'm not even gonna knock the bringing a friend to a blind date of somebody you just met online, because I'd imagine that would be pretty terrifying in the online dating world, like to show up and meet a stranger that you only know from online, right?
Well, right, but I mean, it's not like you're, meeting under an overpass. You're in a public place. You're in a restaurant.
Yeah, but I would go with, and he's saying you name the place so you can feel comfortable. Like, you bring the friend, and then at that point, like, when you're like not a creep, like, okay, now we have a little bit of that separation. Maybe that friend can leave. I understand that.
Well,
but I also don't go with the going to the hibachi grill that is going to be like $50 a plate, and then just bare minimum, and then going surf and turf.
Yeah, for a lunch first date.
And going with your friend and getting hammered drunk.
Yeah, cocktails and surf and turf. Yeah, and the friend. That's
This text says, same when Facebook started. Revisiting past relationships that never happened. You can't pop the friend. You can't, and again, like this one says, you just can't pop the friend on him last second.
Yeah,
like that.
You can't just show up and be like, "Oh, is it cool?"
Like, hey, by the way, I'm going to bring a friend. I don't know you. I think any reasonable person would be like, "Okay, yeah, I understand. Should I bring a friend?"
Right? I mean,
should we try to? I don't know what
double dating here. What's happening?
Like, should I be really excited that you're bringing this friend, or should I bring one too? Or should I be really hesitant? And it turns out Johnny America, his radar was up. He was ready.
He caught that first red flag.
He was ready for this one. Do you have any bad dating stories though? Like any just horrific dates, like first dates that you went on, you're like, I'm never doing this again.
See, I didn't really date much. I didn't. Yeah. I mean, look, a peek into Russ, back behind Russ' camera. I didn't date a ton. I kind of had some dry spells before I met my wife. I had no game.
Well, then look, whatever game you have, it's lasted for 22 years,
right?
bud,
And I tell you, I mean,
I
completely outkicked my coverage too. So I don't know how I fell ass backwards into that one, but
it's your huge personality,
yes.
Jeff. It's that's what's doing it right there. You know?
Yep.
Yeah. I feel like I avoided a bunch of bullets being dodged here without the online dating world.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
Because at that point, like, you're taking on some wild cards because you don't know them. And I think I avoided like first date just absolute messes because of the fact that I knew the people that I would be going on dates with.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would get to, it wasn't like no blind dates at all.
Right.
Like that
just
never happened.
Yeah.
I had several times where people were like, hey, do you want to go on this? I have somebody that you'd be really interested in. I think you'd really like her. I was like, no.
Yeah.
I'm not going to just show up to her. No, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I avoided like the first date disasters as well.
Yeah.
Now, I have had the relationships where you go, that ended weird. Did not see that curveball coming.
Nope.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I had an ex-girlfriend call me a year after we'd broken up, and a year after I'd even seen her.
Huh.
She called me and said, I'm pregnant. And I was like, oh, good for you.
Yeah.
She's like, it's yours. I'm like, that's not
that's
how
not how
it
that
happens.
works. Yeah.
I don't think that can be done.
That's not how any of this works.
I don't think that this is not possible right now. But good luck on your journey.
Yeah.
You know?
Man.
Have a great time with that.
I guess I did have one. There was one girl in college I was kind of seeing, and then, I found out at the end of it that I was the other guy.
No way.
Yeah, so that was super fun. And she told me I was the other guy when she was like, I'm going to keep on going over there. Yeah, so that's how that one got broken off. It's like, all right, sweet.
Your huge personality wasn't enough.
Not enough there. Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just not that one didn't do it for you.
Nope.
All right. Hour number 2 is in the books. Hour number 3. We have more sports, including, did the Oregon State Beavers and Washington State Cougars get a little bit of a life raft today? Some news with the ACC. Next, Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
I'm Michael Jenkins.
Hour number 3, Danny and Dusty with you on this beautiful Friday afternoon in the Rose City. Supposed to heat up again over the weekend. Special thanks again to everybody that came out to Langdon Farms Golf Club for Autotown GMC presents the 10th Annual Fan Golf Classic, brought to you by Michelob Ultra. It was an amazing event. Thank you to all of our listeners. You guys kick ass. You make it all worth it for us to be out there. Sorry we didn't have shows yesterday, but I thought it was really cool, and I said this at the beginning of the show. All 6 of the hosts from Dirt and Sprague, Danny and I, Isaac and Sook, we were all out on that 6th hole for a large chunk of that day, all chopping it up together. And that was fun for us because we never get to see each other, but it was also fun with us to interact and engage with all of you guys.
Absolutely.
And so thank you for everybody that came out and played, and thank you again to all of our sponsors that made it possible, because they make it a kick-ass event, and we always want to just keep making it better and better. So I hope that everybody that came out and played had fun yesterday. It was awesome. So thank you.
One bonus of the best of yesterday was we got to revisit the hog washing segment.
Boy, sometimes it just goes off the rails.
And it certainly did.
And it did.
Thanks to Captain Rust over here.
It did. I mean, my golly.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
So I hope everybody enjoyed the show yesterday of reliving some of the fun and outlandish shenanigans that we have over the course of our show. Hey, just wanted to make sure everybody heads over to the new fan merch locker at 1080thefan.com. We had some of the shirts out there on the course yesterday, but we have brand new Dirt and Sprague Bacon and Football shirt and the Danny and Dusty Absolute Unit shirt, as well as helping Mike Lynch take a swinge against ALS.
That's swing, spelled S-W-I-N-J.
If you're watching on the youtube.com/1080am the fan, you can see the Mike Lynch swinge t-shirt on Jeff Rust. Right meow. He's wearing it.
Just got it in the mail yesterday.
So make sure you head over to 1080thefan.com, get the tees now, just $25, and they are high quality t-shirts, and boom, get sent right to your doorstep. So head over to the fan merch locker at 1080thefan.com. The ACC is up against it right now. It's no secret that the likes of Clemson and Florida State, they want out. Both of them are suing the ACC over their grant of rights deal, which means they can't get out of the conference till I believe it's 2036 when the TV deal concludes. But there is more and more steam to the courts deciding in favor of the universities. Today, Clemson got a big win against the ACC in a jurisdiction hearing today in South Carolina, because Clemson filed their lawsuit against the ACC to get out of the conference without the $300 million plus penalty right before the ACC filed a countersuit in North Carolina. Okay. Now, Clemson's case against the ACC, it was kind of up in the air because the ACC's headquarters are in North Carolina. They hold a majority of their championship events in the state of North Carolina. And that is where the ACC actually won a hearing in early July, I believe July 2nd, from the North Carolina courts that said, no, we can hear this case here in this state. Well, today, a South Carolina judge ruled in favor of Clemson in their case against the ACC, saying it could move forward with their case in South Carolina despite the North Carolina lawsuit that is also there. That is big because it gives Clemson home territory, right? They wanted to have it on their terms, and their whole argument was, we filed this suit first, right? And to say that the ACC, their argument is, we don't even conduct business in the state of South Carolina. It's like, well, I don't know. Clemson's field is littered with ACC logos.
Mm-hmm.
You do conduct business here because we're here.
Yeah, right.
And we're the ones that are suing you to get out. And so it was considered a big win in a case that, look, who are we kidding here? This thing's going to go up to the state Supreme Courts and then probably the Supreme Court for a ruling on this. It's going to get hairy. It's going to get ugly because it could ultimately see the ACC dissolve if the universities do have the ability to rip the cord and just run in opposite directions. And it's all hinging on Florida State and Clemson at this point. It does appear that the North Carolina schools are going to want to keep the ACC together. So that would be North Carolina, NC State, Wake Forest, Duke, in wanting to keep the conference alive. There were rumblings that the government officials and elected officials in the state of North Carolina are going to try and weasel ECU in, East Carolina, into the ACC if Clemson and Florida State win their lawsuits. And look, Florida State has been loading up the war chest right now in the event. They're just going to say, hey, hell, we're going to pay this thing and get out.
Right.
And say, here's your money and go. But it's $300 million. That's nothing to shake a stick at right there.
Yes.
You got to come with your big guns if you're gonna be going, yeah, $300 million, we're gonna go. So it was a big win for Clemson in that regard. They also took an L from the South Carolina judge today because he ruled in favor of the ACC in sovereign immunity that Clemson was seeking. What sovereign immunity is, for those that don't know, the only reason why I know about it is because Texas Tech got a ruling in their favor for sovereign immunity when Mike Leach got fired, and Leach was suing them for back pay, saying you did not have cause to fire me, even though locking Craig James Kidd in the shed was kind of the cause that they used there.
Yeah. Well, let's face it, if his kid was as insufferable as he was.
They said they ruled in favor of Texas Tech, saying, no, you have sovereign immunity. You are land-grant university. Clemson, also land-grant university, saying, yeah, you won't be liable in this civil suit. So Mike Leach never got his money, and he had an axe to grind with Texas Tech until the day he died because of the money that he was owed by Texas Tech. But sovereign immunity just basically means that a public institution cannot be sued on these grounds. Judge said, no, that's not going to fly. We're going to see this case and it'll move forward. But the big win for Clemson is they can have it on their home ground too. The countersuit will be heard in the state of North Carolina, and there's going to be a lot more lawyering that goes way above my head because I am no lawyer. But it was considered a win for Clemson today by that judge. We add that to the latest rumblings that are going out in the world of college realignment. Now, I don't know how you say this because he just took out what I'm assuming is a couple vowels here. MHVER3.
Yeah.
Mhever 3. This dude
sounds like something Boomhauer would say.
This Twitter account has been really ahead of a lot of conference realignment stuff. Should be noted, there have been some big whiffs by this account as well. But yesterday...
That's not unlike Mel Kiper Jr. at the draft, you know? Still know your stuff.
Ain't that, or any reporter.
Everybody misses at some point.
But they tweeted out yesterday, it is looking like a scenario is opening up that could see the ACC lose 6 or more schools and have to backfill with Pac-2 and the best of the Mountain West AAC, so America Athletic Conference in the Mountain West. Tulane, San Diego State, Colorado State, and Boise State would be the most obvious candidates to start. I would throw East Carolina into that conversation as well, just because of the political pull from the state of North Carolina and them wanting a seat at the big boys table. But if you were to look at it and say, all right, what if we're looking at 6 or more schools, it's pretty easy to see which schools would want out of the ACC at this point.
Yeah.
We know Clemson. We know Florida State. We know of Miami at this point. Okay? That leaves us with, if it's 6 or more, we got to find 3 more. And we've had the rumors of North Carolina and North Carolina State kind of being attached at the hip because they're the public universities of the ACC. But if the elected officials in North Carolina have their way, that ain't gonna happen, right? But we can move it up to 5 if you want to say those two as well. Is a school like Georgia Tech or Louisville in play? I don't know how we get to 6 or more schools. Virginia has been, like a year ago, was rumored to want to be on the move because they have the funds to do it, and they want they are a very good basketball program. Want to get their football program up to par with that as well, and they're not going to be bad in football either. But you could very easily see where they're getting at 6 or more schools wanting to leave the Atlantic Coast Conference. Great news for the Pac-2.
Yes.
I mean, what this does is it gives you, if they are able to keep the conference together, and by adding the Pac-2 schools at a bare minimum, okay, even if you have 6 schools leave the ACC, if you add 2 more, you're still okay right now.
Right.
At this point, because remember, with the additions of Cal, Stanford, and SMU this year, they will be at that 10-school threshold if you add 2 more and you lose 6, right?
Yeah.
So if you get that security, it's not a lot of money, but it's better than anything that you're going to be getting 2 years down the road, because each Washington State and Oregon State are going to be getting $50 million a pop from the Pac-12 for this year and next year. If then you can add, then that gives you that soft landing into, all right, we're going to be at around the $30 to $31 million range. And it's no secret, the ACC needs schools out west because of the fact that you have Stanford and Cal just sitting out here on their own.
Yeah.
You want to build a pot of 4. Look at the Big Ten, for God's sakes.
Well, and even if you just go beyond the pot of 4, if you're really looking to replace 6 teams with 6 teams, then your Oregon State and Washington State makes sense, but so would your San Diego State and Boise State, even Colorado State to an extent, and then you have possibly a 6 to 8 team West Coast pod.
And then we're starting to see regionality make sense again, and the money would be getting lapped by the Big Ten and the SEC. That is no secret, but you have a little bit of stability. And look, if you have Florida State, Clemson, and Miami leave, the 3 that want out and we know want out, if those 3 are gone, you are in a power conference, which will still have a seat at the table, albeit you'll be on the kids' end of the table.
Yeah.
You won't be at a separate kids' table like you are right now.
In the Mountain West, in the AAC.
You'll be away from where the big conversations happen with the adults
Yeah.
of the Big Ten and the SEC, but the Big 12 is in that category as well, outside of basketball.
You'll
In the
be
football world, they are in that conversation.
You'll be like, you got the big table that seats, 8 to 10, you got all your regular dining room chairs, and then these guys will be at the card table that you pull up to the end of that table to match with it.
But what you have is an ability to be a player, football, for Oregon State and Washington State both, in football, in a major conference again, more so than you were in the Pac-12 even, because you take Clemson, Miami, and Florida State out, and you're looking at a lot of schools that are in your territory right there. In North Carolina right now would have the foot up with Mac Brown, who's done a good job there. He has not built it into what he had at Texas, but a solid program. Louisville is a solid program, but none of the schools in the ACC right now, if you remove those 3, those are your power players in football right now. You would have a legitimate shot of winning conference titles.
Yeah. Well, and it's like Utah automatically coming into the Big 12.
Yeah.
They're the big dog now after Texas and Oklahoma leaving. And it's, the Big 12 is kind of a shell of what it used to be now, but Utah's right up there.
This will be really interesting to see kind of what happens to the makings of the ACC in the coming months, because we have the lawsuits are at play, and the unrest right now is at a fever pitch, where you're having the power brokers and information brokers that are alluding to the fact that no, the ACC is kind of seeing the writing is on the wall right now.
Yeah.
And I think Oregon State and Washington State, if they can do it, they can position themselves at a seat of relevance.
Yeah. And this is
winning national titles. That's a different animal, but
Yeah.
that always was a different animal.
Well,
for
get
them.
yourself into the playoff, and anything can happen there. But this 18, 24 months ago, if you had gone to Beav or Coug fan and say, hey, look, this is what could happen in the next couple of years. You're going to, be in an ACC that's been kind of watered down. 18, 24 months ago, they'd probably be like, that doesn't really sound great. But now it's like, that's your life raft.
Well, this isn't about, the whole thing about if those schools leave the ACC, it's not the ACC.
No, exactly.
Right.
Well, it's like the Big 12 isn't really this. It's not the same Big 12.
You are not.
We're almost moving to a power 2.
That's what we're at right now. We are on. That's where we are right now. But the reality of it is, as long as you keep your member institutions, like, here's the thing, the Pac-12, if when USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington left for the Big Ten, if they were able to pluck a couple of schools and stay around, they wouldn't have been nobody would have looked at it and said that's a Power 5 conference,
right?
It's a Power 4 conference. No, but this isn't about your competitiveness to winning titles. This is from a financial standpoint, because the autonomous 5 are now only the autonomous 4, because the Pac-12 doesn't have enough schools to be at that table. If they were able to stay at that 10 school threshold, like the Big 12 did for several years, if you are able to stay at that threshold, you have the seat at the table because of the good old boys system, in the fact that the autonomous 5 voted to be that way, and they got enough votes to operate differently than anybody else. That's it. This isn't from a, hey, look at how good that conference will be. It won't be good.
No.
But you're going to be playing by a different set of rules, because the financials will be at a point where you're above the Mountain West, the American, the Conference USA, MAC, Sun Belt. That's where you want to be, and that's where Oregon State and Washington State are not at after the next 2 years, when that $50 million apiece for the next 2 years goes to the wayside. This is why it is important to stay in one of the power conferences. And you can use the air quotes around the ACC of a power conference if they lose those schools, because we know. But the reality of it is, you're not getting voted off the island. The only way you get voted off the island is if everybody on your island goes, we're deuces, we're out.
Yeah.
We're gone.
Exactly. Well, and see, if this does happen with the ACC, I see a point in the future where pretty much, at least under the current 12-team playoff structure, I wouldn't be surprised if just about every year in those top 4 seeds with the byes, you got 2 Big Ten and 2 SEC teams.
That's what they're pushing for, and they're going to get it.
Yeah,
they're going to get it. I mean,
and I think it's like if the ACC falls apart like this, it's almost a guarantee.
The thing that will be interesting to me is, with being in a power conference right now, you are eligible for a first-round bye. Notre Dame is not, because they are an independent. They cannot get a first-round bye in the college football playoff as it stands right now. If the ACC dissolves to, well, I guess I should say, if it's diluted, not dissolves, if it's diluted to the point where you lose your 3 most prominent football programs, right? Does that then force Notre Dame to say, all right, we are going to join the ACC as a full-fledged member, because they are in every other sport except for football, and say, we see a conference right now where we can just take it all.
Yeah. Well, and they can come in and demand a bigger piece of the pie.
And they can, then they're eligible for a first-round bye. Or do they go, fine, we'll join the Big Ten finally.
Which geographically, of course, makes more sense.
But who the hell cares about that anymore?
Yeah, we're losing all of that, exactly.
And now the role of independence has been financially, it's been far more lucrative for Notre Dame, because they can negotiate their own deals, whether it's with NBC or their streaming rights and stuff like that. They don't have to share it with anybody else. Well, now by 2030, when the SEC and the Big Ten are distributing $100 million per school per year, that all of a sudden that advantage doesn't exist for Notre Dame anymore. I'm interested in that to see kind of where it goes and how the ACC in Notre Dame operate moving forward. But today was good news for Oregon State and Washington State. It's
Yes.
bad news for everybody else in the ACC.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
There is a chance. Your feedback is coming in on the Vancouver Ford text line 503-864-6326. We'll get to some of that next. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
How's your
For text line 503-864-6326. This text says, I don't understand why locally everyone thinks OSU makes any conference better. They've been like to 4 bowl games in 25 years. They're an S shell. No. And look, here's the thing is that they're not making the SEC or ACC more powerful if they join the ACC. They hold it together in a conference that needs to regionally start making more sense with schools on the West Coast. Because, look, Boise State doesn't add to the ACC either. Their football program has been consistently better, right? But the days of Boise State being a perennial powerhouse in college football are gone.
Behind us, yeah.
They do not bring as much. You think as well, the allure that Oregon State can bring you, although it has been fleeting at times, right, is in their roster was just pillaged because they got demoted into the Pac-2 here. Women's basketball has been to a Final Four. Men's basketball has been to an Elite Eight. ACC baseball is very good, and Oregon State baseball, which will play as an independent this year, is a national powerhouse. They are, full stop. National powerhouse, Oregon State baseball. They do bring that, and it's not a university that you need to buoy up financially with a buyout, albeit small buyouts for the AAC or Mountain West, like you will other schools. San Diego State doesn't bring much to the table. They men's basketball, which the ACC may find very appealing too. But Washington State is thrown in that same boat in that they will be financially off in a better spot entering the league and out on the West. It's not because of their prowess in football. It's to hold the conference together because you have to have 10 teams. See, that's where everybody else is at right now. And so we look at it locally saying, yeah, you do want Oregon State to have a seat at that table because for our jobs, it makes it far more relevant and entertaining. Because if we're being honest, the Mountain West doesn't do that. It doesn't do that here. You play at that chance and that allure of it, but there are things that are attractive about Oregon State and Washington State. They're not. It's by no way slam dunk or like ACC would be like, yes, we landed the Beavs and the Cougs.
It extends their footprint and does bring in. Historically, no, Oregon State is not exactly a power program, but under Mike Riley and under Jonathan Smith, they have improved.
Yep.
They're not the doormat that they were for decades.
Yeah, and this Texas, I think now that San Diego State has an established stadium, they have an opportunity to grow and be better. Look, I've been waiting for San Diego State to grow and be better for years. It just hasn't happened. I mean, it hasn't. They have produced high draft picks in football. Snapdragon Stadium is very nice, where the old Qualcomm used to be down in San Diego. But I don't think their stadium is going to be drawing anybody in. People in San Diego don't really care. They're more SC and UCLA fans in Southern California than San Diego State fans. But the Southern California market is going to be attractive. And if I'm the ACC, I'm going after them too. Hell yeah. And if you're Oregon State and you're Washington State, start attaching yourselves to them. Because that's how you get out of it, or that's how you find a landing spot in the Mountain West. Like, San Diego State is alluring because of how many people live there.
Yeah.
In San Diego and in Southern California, yes, you should.
Yeah.
They are more. San Diego State is more attractive than the Beavs and the Cougs. But from a financial standpoint, Oregon State and Washington State will have a better starting point because there's $100 million coming their way over the next 2 years because the Pac-12 team's leaving.
See, well, and the one thing that always kind of grinds my gears too is that everybody says, why would they want the Corvallis market or why would they want the Pullman market? It's not just that, but it's not about the Corvallis market or the Portland market or the Pullman market. It's about Portland and Seattle because a lot of those former Beavs and former Cougs are still in the Northwest. Just because you graduate from Oregon State doesn't mean that you're staying in Corvallis or Albany or, Lynn County.
I hope you're not.
But so Portland is your main hub probably for Beaver alums, and Seattle for Washington State, or you could go vice versa. But the Northwest, the major Northwest markets in Portland and Seattle, have a lot of Ducks, Huskies, Cougs, and Beavers. It's not just about where the campus is.
We got this message on the YouTube chat from Troy. If the ACC breaks up, isn't the Big 12 going to take some of the schools? Financially, they're not better off distribution-wise.
No.
Financially. Big 12 and the ACC are neck and neck.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they'll be able to pull.
And that's still better than what the
many.
Pac-12 was, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, they were all kind of lumped together.
Yeah.
But you're going to be getting lapped by everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. Hey, we have an unprecedented move in the world of the NBA. I mean, this truly is staggering, and it makes me love the guy even more. Here's Rust with SportsCenter.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
If you've been arrested for DUI, you need a team of attorneys that you can put your trust into. Call Reynolds Defense Firm today, online at reynoldsdefensefirm.com. First on The Fan, the Trailblazers begin Las Vegas Summer League play tomorrow night with number 7 pick Donovan Clingan, Ryan Rupert, and Chris Murray, but no Scoot Henderson. The Blazers will face Stephon Castle and the Spurs, 6 o'clock tip at the Thomas and Mack Center. Got a couple of games underway in Summer League right now. About 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter at the Pavilion. The Magic blowing away the Cavaliers 96-69, and 8:24 left in the second period at the Thomas and Mack Center. Timberwolves lead the Pelicans 33-25. And some breaking news in the association. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reporting Knicks guard Jaylen Brunson has agreed to a 4-year, $156.5 million extension, which sounds big, but that is $113 million less guaranteed than he's eligible to receive if he were to extend next year. Over in baseball, the Mariners have won 3 straight. Game 2 of 4 this evening at the Angels. Brian Wu on the hill for Seattle, opposite Tyler Anderson for LA. 6:38 first pitch on Root Sports. The Astros keeping pace in the AL West, still just 2 games behind the Mariners. And round 2 of the Genesis Scottish Open has wrapped up. Ludwig Oberg is your leader after his second straight 6-under 64. He's 12 under overall, 1 stroke clear of Antoine Rosner, Colin Morikawa, and Rory McIlroy among those tied for 5th at 9 under, 3 strokes off the pace. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
This truly is an unprecedented move in the NBA. Jaylen Brunson of the New York Knicks has agreed to a 4-year, $156.5 million contract extension. That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
He's going to be getting paid $37.1 million over the next 3 years, and the fourth year comes with a player option. But here's the deal. Brunson is leaving $113 million on the table.
Over $1.2 billion.
That's right, Joe. He is leaving $113 million on the table because being an all-NBA guard, he was eligible for a max extension if he were to sign a max deal next year. So he'll get his $37.1 million over the next 3 years, keeping a window open for the New York Knicks to add talent around him. Now, when that deal is done, he could sign a 5-year, $418 million deal in 2029.
Sweet, fancy Moses.
But for right now, to keep a window open for this team to compete and to win, you're looking at him sitting there saying, I'll take the $113 million haircut. But in 2029, no matter what happens to Jaylen Brunson, I'm assuming he's like, you're going to pay me $400 million come 2029.
Exactly, because I'm assuming Papa Rick didn't make that kind of cash in the NBA.
I'll tell you what, it is good to have your dad and your agent, I think it's his agent's dad, both working in the Knicks front office.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's pretty good. So if he were, so we just mentioned he'll get average $37.1 million through 2028-29. Okay. If he were to sign the deal next year, it would go from this year he'll make 34.9, then 37.7, then 40.5, then 43.3 on the player option year.
Mm-hmm.
That final year. If he were to wait until next year and sign, it would have been 46.3, 50.1, 53.8, 57.5, 61.2 he would be getting. It's mind-blowing how much money they're saving $37 million in cap space by having this happen, by him leaving that money on the table.
That's not just a haircut. That's a Supercuts haircut.
But look, it makes me love him even more. Because, like, we all said it, and I was like, I tweeted out during the playoffs when they were playing, like, everybody says they got that dog in them.
Mm-hmm.
Jaylen Brunson is, like, if you hear anybody say it and they don't look like Jaylen Brunson when he's playing, they don't got that dog in him.
Yeah.
Whether it's playing injured, whether it is when nothing is going your way and where your team needs you the most, you all of a sudden come out of nowhere and you step up and you rip the throat out of another team. That's Jaylen Brunson, man.
Mm-hmm.
That is what he did in this playoff series. And what he is signaling to the Knicks organization is that if I want to win, and if we're gonna win, this is how it gets done. And he's right.
Yeah. He
is right, because he has an awareness about him as well that I can't do this alone. And how many guys are just like, I'm gonna get that bag. It's all about me. I'm gonna get that money.
Yeah.
Because my earning window is so short. He's 27 years old. So when he gets that $418 million, he'll be 30 years. He'll be over 30 years old.
Yeah.
Right. He'll be 31.
So
that, to me, makes me love Jaylen Brunson that much more.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but it seems like not too terribly long ago where players' associations and such would I don't want to say get angry, but frown upon players taking discounts like this because they feel that it minimizes other players' leverage in terms of getting everything that they can.
Sure, but at the same time, it's like, dude wants to win.
No, I mean, I get why he's doing it, but it just doesn't seem that far removed from the time where, like, no, you take every cent that you can.
I don't, and that time is not removed. I think we're still in that time where it's like, wow, LeBron took a discount. LeBron took a $3 million discount over 2 years.
Yeah.
It's $1.5 million a year.
Yeah.
He didn't take a discount, folks.
Well, he's paying half of his kid's salary.
That's right. What Jaylen Brunson is doing is saying, and this is what we want from our athletes. And you know what everybody else can point to in those negotiations for those guys that do want that money is like, yeah, he's different. He's the anomaly. He is the outlier. He is not the guy who's wired like everybody else. And I'm totally fine with it. It's bananas that you see it this day and age and at this time in the NBA that a guy's going to leave, $100 million bajillion gajillion dollars or $113 million on the table. But at the same time, I love Brunson, and I hope that no, I don't. I don't hope James Dolan gets a title. I hope something happens. James Dolan has to sell the team. They finally dig up that dirt. He sells the team, and a cool owner comes in,
Yeah.
and they win a title. Because I'm picking up what Brunson's putting down here.
And I guess Bobby Marks tweeted a little bit ago too, with a couple more like specific details of how this helps the Knicks. No second apron, more resources available in trades and free agency, and the ability to keep their own players.
But you know what? All of the other great players in all the other sports, like with the exception of baseball, so I guess I'm just saying football. All of the great players will do that, right? Like Mahomes reworking his deal,
Yeah.
Brady
Brady
Breeze,
did it about every year.
They will rework their deal to make sure that their team can field a championship contending team. And if any of the Players Association gets upset with Brunson, it's just like, dude, get out of here with that.
Well-
because the new CBA eliminates a middle class of the NBA. And that they want to have their supermax guys and then the league minimum and rookie scale guys.
Yeah.
And fill out everything else. What the New York Knicks, and because they're star players, like, no, those guys are important to winning titles. He's keeping that window open.
Yeah. Well, and let's face it though, too, in the NBA, a single player taking up 35% of your cap space is far different than a quarterback taking up 35% of the cap space in the NFL.
Yes. Yeah.
A roster of 15 versus a roster of 53, or on game day anyway.
I mean, we're all thinking the same thing though. Knicks will find a way to screw this up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Don't put it past James Dolan.
Okay, we talked briefly about Blazers Summer League getting underway. We've got a groundbreaking deal in the NBA with Jaylen Brunson. There's something else going on this weekend that is of note, the bright spot to Oregon State fans. We'll get to that to wrap up the show. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. All right, we got an update to our poll that we had at the beginning of the show. Who won the Heisman Trophy? If it's other, reply in the comments. You can still vote at Danny and Dusty on Twitter. Dylan Gabriel, the reason why we have that, Dylan Gabriel is now the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman Trophy, which means absolutely nothing. And if you missed out why it means absolutely nothing, go check out the Audio Vault at 1080thefan.com or in the Odyssey app there because, I don't know. Last year, Caleb Williams was the odds-on favorite, and Jaden Daniels was plus 1,100 to win the Heisman. But the year before, Caleb Williams was plus 700, and C.J. Stroud was the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. 2021, Spencer Rattler got benched, and he was the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman preseason, and Bryce Young won it at plus 900. And then the year before that, Justin Fields was the odds-on favorite, and Devontae Smith, who had zero... he wasn't even on the board, won the Heisman Trophy in the preseason. Means nothing, but we asked the question. Dylan Gabriel, Carson Beck, Georgia's quarterback, Quinn Ewers of Texas, or Jackson Dart of Ole Miss. Those are the top four in the odds. That's why we put them on the poll. You can go and vote. Dylan Gabriel, 58.2% of the vote. Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers, each at 17.3%, and then Noel Dart himself, 7.1. We did have a write-in, though. What about Jalen Milroe from Alabama? That's a good one because, Alabama's got a lot of talent around him at wide receiver, and he's got Kalen DeBoer. Don't know if you know this about Kalen DeBoer. Really good offensive mind.
Yeah.
Very good offensive mind.
And he just doesn't lose very much.
No, he doesn't.
Anywhere he goes.
No, he doesn't. That's a good one, though. But he wasn't on the poll because... He wasn't in the top four. Not in the top four. You know what is coming up tomorrow? Tomorrow?
Sure.
Major League Baseball draft.
Oh, all right, sure.
Is that tomorrow?
No
but
idea.
Travis Bazzana of the Oregon State Beavers, I was looking at ESPN's mock draft. They have him going 4th overall. Plug your ears. He's going to be wearing green and yellow. Oakland A's.
Going to Portland Athletics.
Now, if it's the Portland Athletics, I am in. Move their asses up here. But good news is you might be able to go and see him in Vegas by the end of his rookie deal.
Has it ever been explained why the elephant is the mascot for the Athletics?
Yes.
Okay.
The elephants are very athletic.
I thought you were going to have a real answer for me, you jerk.
No, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. Google it.
I mean, were they founded by a Republican?
No, probably, but I don't know. It's got to have something to do with Philadelphia.